I ask, guys, is for the next 45 minutes or so, turn off all distractions. Take down some notes, go grab a pen and paper, right? Like honestly, this right here is going to change your life. I promise you guys that. And what's nice about this is that this is just going to be part one. There's going to be several different parts as we progress with these coaching calls and what it is that I'm trying to help you guys out with the right mindset. And this exercise is just about the roadmap for discipline. Now, we first need to talk about this, and we'll talk about this often, right? A morning routine. A lot of you guys have morning routine. A lot of you guys ask me questions about a morning routine. I'm just going to break down my morning routine in terms of how that looks. The first thing is I wake up, gratitude. Whether I'm praying, whether I'm just thinking about my family, whether I'm taking out a journal, I'm writing down the things I'm grateful for, gratitude, right? Like I'm thankful I woke up today. Hey, there's electricity, there's running water, there's food in the fridge. Somebody didn't wake up today. Somebody doesn't have those privileges, right? So I want to give great, thanks. Second is the daily intentions. And that is what's going to be today's topic point. We're going over discipline. Third is meditation, right? Whether that's a guided meditation, whether that's breath work and you just focusing on getting collectively in the present moment. The reason why this is beneficial to meditate is because it just puts you at a state of ease, calm. To where we can do the fourth thing, at least that I like to do, is affirm, right? An affirmation, a declaration, who it is that you're trying to become, just reminding yourself of all this that, hey, we're in alignment with our goals. And then lastly, physical activity. It's like, hey, let's get our body moving in the right direction. We have to make sure that we have the right mindset, but also the physical body. And the reason why being so active helps is because, let's face it, being consistent on your health and fitness journey, you're going to be dealing with some curveballs, right? Maybe that's, lifting certain weights and you're, hitting a plateau or you're challenging or whatever the case may be. But regardless, when you're stepping each and every day outside of your comfort zone and on that path to, you becoming the best version of yourself, that's also going to shed more light into your mindset as well. So let's talk about daily intentions. Jeff, you ready, brother?
Yep.
These are 10 questions, guys. And once again, take down some notes. I do have a PDF guide, right, with all these questions that we're going to dive into. And the only thing that I ask, if you guys want to get the most bang for your buck from this training, is to be honest with yourself, right? You can, say anything that you want to others, but at the end of the day, it's you're looking in your eyes in that mirror every single day. And that's the conversation that you need to be comfortable with having, and it's all about integrity. So Jeff, I'm going to go to you first, man. What are your goals?
All right, so it could be a long range of that, but
Try to keep it
goal,
short but specific.
Yeah. Immediate goals are to get in better shape and to lose body fat percentage, regardless of weight. I've kind of taken a long time to realize it's not the number on the scale that matters. It's the how my body looks and the percentage of that fat.
Okay.
And then long-term goal would be to we'll just leave it at that first goal for now.
Okay. So now this is where it's going to be the kicker, right? And Jeff, honestly, like you raised your hand. I appreciate you step outside your comfort zone, but this call is going to kick you in the butt, brother. And it's going to be good, right? Because at the end of it, you're going to be like, wow, Joe is different. Like maybe I don't like the 32-year-old version of Joe. Maybe I like the 31-year-old version better. He's a little bit lighter. But as far as your goals, are you actually hitting the bullseye or are you just aiming?
Currently aiming. So, I mean, I've been fluttering a lot for the last month and a half, right around the same spot. And I know that a lot of it has to do with I've not been active up until the last couple of weeks. And so last couple of weeks, I've been making further progress on getting off my butt.
Good. I like that. Let's continue on, man. Why are your goals important to you, Jeff?
Mainly health concerns and being there for my wife and kids and my grandkids.
Okay. Can we actually dig down a little bit deeper, or is that too surface right now? Because I'll put it to you like this. Where would you run faster at? If you were in a wide open field and there was a pot of gold in the middle of it, or if there was a bear chasing you, what would make you run faster?
Bear chasing me.
Okay. So can we dig a little bit deeper into the importance factor on those goals?
Yep.
Okay. And guys, this isn't just for Jeff. I want you guys all to take part of this and do this exercise. And like I said, I got the PDF. I can send it over to you guys. I just literally ask myself these questions every single morning. It's my daily intentions. It takes 5 minutes, guys. And just the past 2 weeks, significant changes. That's why I'm a firm believer in all this. But you're going to see it gets a little bit tough. So, Jeff, my next question to you, man, is do you know where you're going in terms of your goals?
Um, as of today, I'm definitely working towards that goal. Um, yeah, I'm moving in the right direction today.
Okay.
Last few weeks ago, I wasn't. I was kind of just floating along. So,
Because a lot of guys out there struggle with this.
yep,
Having a strategy versus having spaghetti. What does that mean? Hey, there's a strategy, there's a GPS, there's a roadmap. Hey, if I follow this, I'm going to reach this goal. And this is what I want and why it's important to me, right?
right,
But hey, if we're just kind of showing up, just kind of going through the motions, who knows? Maybe we're realistically just throwing spaghetti up on the wall and hoping and praying something sticks. But it's not a clear-cut answer.
right.
Let's go to the fourth question. How does the best version of yourself handle challenges?
Best version that I want to be at, or as of right now.
The best version. Say like, hey, you just reached your goals, right? Like you got everything that you wanted, right? That business that you want to start, health and fitness goals, everything's good, right? What is the best version of yourself? How would you think they handle life's challenges?
Meeting them head on and overcoming.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Are you currently doing that right now with your challenges, or are you using them as setbacks or comebacks?
After this past week of the challenge, I've been definitely going at them head on.
Yeah.
So
And
previously that I was using it as a crutch.
And I've been seeing that, Jeff. In fact, like I told, one of the coaches that's going to be doing your check-ins this week, I was like, you better give this guy a lot of praise, man. I said, he not only crushed in the step outside of your comfort zone challenge and won it, but like he inspired me the most, right? In terms of just like what you were willing to do and also do that before the challenge even began. If you remember, Jeff, right? Like this is going on maybe like 3 or 4 weeks with you and I having this mindset conversation piece back and forth.
Yep,
And hopefully these last couple of weeks, there's been some changes that has been happening, maybe in your life or maybe just in your mindset in terms of how you perceive yourself in the direction where you're trying to get to.
absolutely.
So guys, you need to understand, right? Like life's always going to throw you curveballs, right? But how do we see those challenges? Is it, hey, I'm sick today, or hey, I can't make it to the gym, or whatever the case may be? Well, that's great, right? Like, hey, it's a challenge, right? But like, how do we see it as a challenge? Do we see it from our day-to-day operations of who we are today, the 1.0 version of ourselves? Or how can we actually see it from that best version of ourselves? Like, meaning like, a lot of guys, right? Let's say struggle with finances. They want to save all their money and be a penny picture and all that stuff. Well, the best version of myself is abundance, right? And like, hey, they have financial freedom. They're tithing more, they're donating more, right? They're like willing to help more, and they're not like worried about bills coming in or whatever the case may be. Like, they're in a whole different mindset, they're in a whole different head place. So, if we're trying to become the best version of ourselves, what's to say we can't do that today? What's to say that we can't do, think, and act like that best version of ourselves? And it's obviously a lot easier to do that when life's great. But hey, when life throws us challenges, that's when we're really tested. Just like how these questions, Jeff, they're testing you right now, right? It really makes you think, and you have to be open and honest and have integrity answering these questions. Let's go to number 5, right? This is where you're going to start to see, like, you know, things are hard to admit to, right? And that's for you, Jeff, is completely open and honest to you, right? It's just what's holding you back that doesn't serve you.
I think a couple of things. I mean, there are times that I get kind of lazy and start scrolling on my phone, or there's time where I want to just kind of sit and just chill because I've had a long, stressful day at work instead of feeling stressed when I get done with work. And so I think those are probably my two biggest things. Idle time, you know.
Yeah. So this is where I encourage you daily check inventory, right? If let's say we had a storage unit and it was filled with I don't know, something that's alive, right? But we have something in there that's a poison, okay? And at the end of the day, if that poison is in there, it's pretty much going to kill off the things that's alive, right? So, Jeff, what you need to do, as well as everybody else, is daily. And Bill, you mentioned this before we started the presentation, is like, hey, it's a daily, it's something daily to work on, right? Daily is the key word in all this, guys. It's not like you mastered discipline and boom, you're good for a whole week or two or anything like that. It's a daily action, but we have to understand is like sometimes we have a lot of things that's holding you back, holding us back. It just doesn't serve us. It's that ball and chain. It's that, hey, we're still that caterpillar and we're not ready to blossom and grow and fly into this butterfly because we're still being held back. But like this is probably going to be one of the hardest things for most guys to be open and honest with themselves and check that inventory daily and then make a commitment, make a decision and say, okay, hey, this vice, this addiction, this, scrolling around on social media and, procrastinating, being lazy, if it doesn't serve me, what am I willing to do, right? Because you need to declare that. What am I willing to do and decide to do differently today to avoid that? And sure enough, like with anything, the more you do it, repetition is the mother of all learning, it becomes a habit. So if we're not scrolling on social media or, hey, we're deciding to wake up 30 minutes early and work on a morning routine or our mindset, whatever the case may be, yes, it's not going to essentially be the easiest thing in the world, right? In the beginning, but eventually it does get a lot easier. It becomes part of your habits. It becomes part of your routine. Does that make sense, Jeff?
Yep, absolutely. I've had to do a lot of that over the last 8 months. So
Okay. Now, this one is where um, you have to, once again, like it's you looking at yourself in the mirror. It's you being open and honest with yourself. It's you, once again, just like facing it how it is, ripping off the band-aid. And honestly, guys, when I look at my PDF that I printed off and I always get to this question, it changes something in me. Like every single morning when I'm reading my daily intentions and I'm reading these 10 questions, it literally changes something in me with how I wake up and how I perceive that day. Meaning, like, hey, if I wake up and things are good, if I wake up and things are bad, doesn't matter. The last 2 weeks, when I read this one simple question, I just get stuck. And I'm like, wow, it literally just like hits me with like a bag of bricks or something like that, slaps me in the face. And I'm just like, am I actually happy? And so the question is, are you happy with your current results? Or do you feel like you can push yourself to do better? So, Jeff?
absolutely can push myself to do better.
Okay. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's just like you got to be pushed,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yep.
my question to you is, how are you going to be pushed? What are you willing to do, right? And we're going to get to that here in a little bit, but it's one of these things where, and for all you guys that's listening in on this right now, if you're not happy, figure out why. What's not serving you? What's holding you back? Are you not in alignment with your goals? Like I said, just by asking yourself this one simple question first thing in the morning can change things for you. So, Jeff, like, where do you feel, or I guess, why do you feel like you're not happy?
Well, so I read that question, and part of that is that I feel like I don't know that we can ever be 100% content where we're at if we're not pushing ourselves to be better every day.
Okay.
That makes sense. But for me, like, up until recently, I wasn't pushing myself with any kind of activity really. So I'm not seeing physically where I want to be at. I'm not seeing health wise where I want to be at. Uh, you know, being the husband and dad that I want to be. That's not there. So definitely pushing to be better version of myself at all times. That's what I need to be doing.
Do I have permission to coach you?
Absolutely.
How does that make you feel?
Um, there's a little bit of a depression and oppression that's been on me for a long time, and that's part of it. And so I think that kind of feeds it more.
Okay. And so what are you willing to do to make changes?
I'm listening to you right now, and I'm ready to do whatever.
Let's go to number 7.
Teachable.
Because number 7 is very crystal clear. How bad do you want to be successful? You know, and like this is a question where I love reading this that I put in. Are you running or walking towards your goals? Going back to the analogy, hey, where are you going to run faster? For a pot of gold in the middle of an open field, right? No danger. Or if, let's say, a bear is chasing you. So the question is, okay, hey, if you have your goals, you're in alignment with your goals, you're following the right plan that's going to reach your goals. It's like, hey, are we just walking? Or are we just, kind of just going through the motions? Or are we actually running towards our goals? And like this is one of these things where I think a lot of guys could get hit up in the head with the obsession and putting the goals on a pedestal, which has nothing to do with any of this. This is all about discipline. This is all about pushing yourself in your daily habits, pushing yourself to be better each and every day, striving for that 1% better mentality. But it boils down to, are you happy with walking or are you pissed off? Right? Because if you're pissed off, you're going to run a run, Jeff. So my question to you is, how bad do you want to be successful? You mentioned to me earlier that, hey, you have these goals, they're health related. You want to be a better version of yourself for your family, for your kids, right? Like, how bad does that actually mean to you as success? Because right now, if you're not running towards your goals, you're walking towards your goals, which
Right.
means that, is it a liability or is it an asset that we're actually becoming and embodying right now? So, how bad do you want to be successful?
Pretty bad. And right now, like I said, up until recently, I wasn't even walking toward it. I was more like a limping, dragging foot.
Yeah,
Um, but that's changing.
yeah, yeah.
Progressing from a walk to a slight jog to a running.
I like that, man. As long as it's that progression, you
Right.
know. But just imagine this, before we continue to number 8, what if you asked yourself these questions each and every day? Like as just the first thing in the morning, right? You're starting off your day, you ask yourself these questions, a self-assessment, right? Holding yourself accountable to this. Do you think that would change the way that we've been doing things?
Definitely.
Good. I like that. Number 8, what are you deciding to do differently today? And Jeff, before I get your feedback on this, let me just elaborate on this because a lot of people, right, they think, oh, here are my goals. I need to run. I need to drink the water. I need to hit the protein. I need to do this, and this. But they forget, right, that a decision is not a choice. A decision is to cut off. A decision is a sacrifice. And every single day you have to make a decision. Who are you going to feed? The good wolf or the bad wolf, right? But when it
Right.
comes to an easier time, right, making a decision, yes, we can step outside of our comfort zone. Yes, we can adapt new habits. Yes, we can push ourselves more. But you think what's more beneficial, or at least I can say what's more beneficial, what's going on in my life personally, is deciding to cut off the bad habits, deciding to cut off the vices. So for you, right, like what are you willing, right? And what are you deciding to do differently today, Jeff?
So, I mean, and kind of like I said, I keep repeat myself, but going through that challenge in the last week, um, I got off my butt and I'm starting to move. You know, that's my first step is getting moving and doing stuff, and not just okay. Well, I've got 20 minutes, I can sit and rest. No, I got 20 minutes, I get to walk today, or I can go do a workout in 15 minutes or whatever. If I've got free time, I'm going to use it right. So that's what I'm working on currently is stop being lazy, get up and move.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Let's go to number 9. And I believe you already know the answer to this, right? But I'm still going to ask anyways. Are you taking responsibility for your own actions?
Yep.
You know, and once again, like this is something where it's easier said, right, on a coaching call when there's other people, and this is obviously being recorded. But when you're in a stuck in a rut mentality, when you're in a, oh man, I don't feel like showing up today, I don't feel like doing this, or I had a few days of feeding the bad wolf, just imagine this waking up and asking yourself question number 9: are you taking responsibility for your actions? And the reason why this is such a powerful question, guys, is because if let's say there are, a few days with you feeding the bad wolf or making up excuses here and there and cutting corners, this holds you accountable. This helps you change your perspective to just say, okay, who have I been feeding? The good wolf or the bad wolf? Who have I been listening to? And sometimes asking these questions, it's going to suck. It's not going to feel the best. But at the end of the day, like this is supposed to trigger you guys. This is supposed to cause a reaction. This is supposed to get some form of emotions involved because if you guys haven't heard this clearly, right, you're always going to run a lot faster when there's a bear chasing you rather than just a pot of gold in the middle of the woods. So what does that mean? Hey, sometimes like we almost need a little pep talk to ourselves. We need these daily intentions. We need to be slapped around a little bit, a little punch in the gut. Nothing more to just keep us in check to say, hey, dude, like you're over here in la la land, right? You're just blanking out in your comfort zone. Dude, what are you here for? And it all boils down to that very first question. What are your goals? Why are they important to you? And then just backtrack from there to just say, okay, hey, am I actually doing what I'm saying I'm supposed to be doing? Because you're going to find out here real quick that like success leaves clues. And we're going to talk about that. Last question, Jeff. Who is holding you accountable? Yourself or others?
I would say currently it's probably a mix of both, but mostly myself. Being in this group is what's probably keeping me accountable more than anything. I know that when I was in your program for a couple years back, I was doing really good. And then I left the program for a lot of financial issues and then health issues because I got COVID and just like broke all my habits, right? And then went back to doing something else for a little while. It wasn't working out. Got back on here, and now I feel like I'm being held accountable again because I've got a group that's surrounding me to do it.
Yeah. So when it comes down to accountability, guys, I want you to focus on both yourself and others, right? Meaning that I think about 70 to maybe 80% should be with others holding you accountable. Meaning, like, if they're already got the results that you want or the goals that you're after, or whatever the case may be, they already have the cheat codes. They already have the success tips to help you, right? They already can see the blind spots because you're on that path still trying to get there. They can look in the rearview mirror and say, hey, I know there's a detour coming up. I know there's a traffic jam coming up, right? Here's what adjustments to make. But also, like, about 20-25%, like, you still also need to hold yourself accountable. And that is where it's like, hey, we want to make sure that we're asking ourselves the right questions. And these right here, guys, this took a long time to think about. But these are 10 questions to just ask yourself each and every day to hold yourself accountable. And all this simple practice does is it gets you in alignment. Like I said, this is just the first of many different, topics that we're going to talk about as we progress weeks and weeks ahead here with Heartletics. But it's to help you guys get in alignment, to help you guys get in focus, right? I don't mean obsessed. You'll hear me talk about that on one of the coaching calls. I'm not talking about putting your goals on a pedestal and being obsessed with it, right? But focus. What you focus on grows. And a lot of you guys have been focusing on the wrong things. Maybe that's focusing on things that you don't have in your life. Maybe that's focusing on, the negativity, the anxiety, the worry, right? And what my job as a coach is to challenge you guys and to change your perspective, right? But most importantly, is to help you have what I like to say is the winner's mindset. And like the difference between somebody that's great, let's say Michael Jordan, and somebody that's average, right? Somebody that's average, let's say, plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? And they were walking down the streets of Cleveland. If nobody really watches basketball or knows that guy, they ain't saying anything. They just think it's a random dude. But like, there's plenty of people out there that don't really watch basketball, but yet, sure enough, they know who Michael Jordan is. They know what he looks like, right? And it all has to do with that mindset. It all has to do with that discipline. Michael Jordan, the reason why he was the great was because he embodied this right here. Successful people do what they have to do, whether they feel like it or not. If you think about it, he mastered discipline by focusing on how can I constantly grow. He had his goals. He knew why those goals were important to him. He made sure to hire in the right coaches, the right teammates, to push his teammates, all these things. He had this driving force about him, but he also realistically probably looked at himself each and every day in the mirror and just said, hey, am I actually running or am I walking towards my goals? How bad do I actually want this? And just by you guys asking yourself these questions every single morning, that's it. It takes 5 minutes. You know, be honest with yourself. You know, you have nobody to prove and nobody to lie to. It's at the end of the day, you are going to be looking at yourself in the mirror, right? It's you and looking in your own eyes, but it's you versus you. And the reason why I like this so much is because you start playing the game. And this is what I think, to answer your question, Bill, about when we talked, last week about discipline, it's a game, right? Like I don't treat, oh, I need to work out as this, or I need to hit my macros as this, or I need to do this. I don't treat it serious. I treat it as a game, but like a game as how can I constantly improve? How can I constantly level up? And in what ways can I do that? Because I'm obsessed with the game. I'm not obsessed with the goals. I'm obsessed with the game. And the game to me is self-development. It's improvement, right? It's becoming the best version of myself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And understanding that, hey, sometimes there's going to be some setbacks, but those are just nothing more than minor comebacks. That's all, right? It's setups for a better success, for a better abundant future. And you're always going to get hit with storms, right? But sometimes those storms are a little whisper inside of the back of your head. Point blank example yesterday, okay? So I was going through, just walking through the park, and I was thinking about today's call because I'm like, hey, I want to crush it for everybody at Heartletics. I want to show them, like, hey, it's my birthday, and this is a whole new Coach Joe. This is the 3.0 version of myself, right? Like, I want to crush it. So I was thinking about this, right? And I'm thinking about my goals. I'm thinking about my intentions. I'm thinking about all this stuff. And there was this kid that was just shooting basketball, right? And he was crushing it, right? Like he was making all these shots. And I'm like, oh man, like I got to tell that kid, like he's doing a great job. But guess what? Back of my head, right? This little voice came out and said, yeah, but if you do that, like you're just going to be some weird guy. Like it's a little kid. He's shooting basketball by himself. Like, dude, don't be weird. Like, just like whatever, right? Like, and like, think about it. Nobody else could really say, like, oh man, like, yeah, that is kind of strange. Like, why would you go tell that kid, like, hey, good job, or, you're doing great, keep up the good work. But yet in our heads, we're perceiving as what are other people going to think about us? How is this kid going to think about? So what I had to do is literally practice everything that I'm teaching you guys right now, which is embrace that and say, which wolf am I feeding by listening to that voice? Am I feeding the good wolf or am I feeding the bad wolf? Do I care about what other kids or other people are going to think about me? Or like potentially, hey, if my goal is to impact millions of people, does that mean I need to just do it from a coaching perspective or can I actually do it in my day-to-day operations? And if it's a little kid that's draining threes in front of his house, I can impact him right now. I can become the best version of myself. I can embody that, version that I'm trying to become right now. Hey, let me just go tell that kid congratulations. And I did. He had the biggest smile on his face, right? And who knows, that might start a little planting of the seed to give that kid confidence to where now he wants to try out for his middle school or high school or whatever the case may be as he grows. Because, hey, he was shooting threes and some random dude in a tank top walked by and said, dude, you're crushing it, man. You're going to be in the NBA one day. Guess what? It gave that kid that little slither of hope, of inspiration. And so this is why I encourage you guys and I challenge you guys is start asking yourself these hard questions, right? Start digging deep into what it is that you want, why it is that you want it. Go through the remainder of these 10 questions that I have on here because you're going to start seeing discipline be almost like a game and you're going to treat it that way, right? As in, hey, what can I do to level up? But it boils down to a few simple things. How bad do you want it? Are you running or are you walking towards your goals, right? Like, what does it actually mean for you? And if you can really dial this in, and I like to say, do quote unquote some soul searching, meaning, hey, turn off all distractions, right? Like, don't have the TV, don't be driving. Really think about this. Because if you can paint this picture in your head, pretty soon it could become a reality if we start walking in alignment with that.